Carve, and I'm gonna be working on a project today. It's really hot, um, really hot day. So I'm not sure how long I'll hold off down here carving, but I'll do my best to try to finish the project. I'm gonna be working on. Let me flip the camera. Be working on one of these corner pieces, carving some sort of wood spirit. Haven't decided if I'm gonna do an open mouth or teeth or anything like that. So let me get this flipped over. Why is this not working? All right. Hey, what's up, Mike? How you doing? Yeah, the heat is really intense the last couple of days. Yesterday, I think it hit about 105, and today it's about the same. And right now in my garage, the thermostat's reading 86. So it's gonna be a rough one. All right. Try to get this camera out of the way so I can see a little better. All right, so what I got here is a 2 inch by 2 inch by 4 inch block that I just split diagonally. And it's good because you get two pieces out of it. All right, first thing I'm going to do is establish some lines that show the top of his nose, the bottom of his nose, where his hairline would be, and I'll roughly mark out the bottom here where maybe his chin or bottom of his mouth would be. What's up, whittling monkeys? Thanks for joining in. All right, first thing I'm going to do is just make some V cuts along those lines I just made. This is the top section of his nose. This piece of wood is pretty tough, so that's not going to be fun. Starting the face is pretty simple. It's just a series of V cuts. You do one for the top of his nose, one for the bottom of his nose, and one for the top of his forehead. Um, you want to get pretty deep. Thank you. It's a Badger State Blade knife. I keep forgetting what style. I think it's the Clipper with a zebra wood handle. The handle for me was a little too narrow for my taste, so I wrapped this twine around it. I want to get something a little bit thicker to give it some more bulk. I find that when it's narrow like this, my hand tends to cramp up a little bit more. All right, dug down fairly deep for the bottom of his nose here, and that's where his eyebrow ridge would be, and that's where his hair is going to end up. If you guys have any questions on what I'm doing, definitely let me know. Or if you have any questions about the podcast or anything like that, go for it. It's kind of hard to talk and carve at the same time. Yeah, I'm working on a wood spirit type face, something similar to this. Maybe I'll do the mouth. I'm not sure yet. I'm battling the heat, so if the heat starts getting the best of me, I'm gonna probably cut it shorter. I'm just gonna knock off that ridge. It's gonna be a little bit less of a tutorial and more of just carving and showing you what I'm doing. I'll kind of explain things as I go, but I'm not gonna go too crazy detailing everything unless you have a question. All right. Now, what I'm going to do here is I don't actually. You could do it with a knife, create the eye sockets like that. But I have a gouge, so I'm going to just use that. Use the gouge, just come all the way across. Above the bridge of his nose there. Come in from the other side. The knife I'm using is a Badger State Blades knife. I believe it's the clipper. I'm not sure if you can. There you go. With a zebra wood handle. It's a great knife. Really great company. Um, I did an episode of the podcast with the owner, Ashton and Libby. They're really passionate about what they do. They're super involved in the wood carving world. And they're just really cool to hang out with and talk to. All right, so I created some eye sockets. I'm going to take that same gouge and just come up on each side of the nose here. I hope this one comes out okay. Sometimes when I do these wood spirits, I stop about halfway through. You can see when I stopped here, when I stopped here. And I'm not sure why I stopped, but I end up not liking it at some point and put it to the side, and then I start something new. Occasionally I go back to them, but I think I stopped one of these because the wood was too hard or the grain was annoying me. You saying my knife looks like a Toblerone? I guess it kind of does. Probably doesn't taste as good. How about getting Mike on where? The podcast? I think I asked him, didn't I? I'm not sure. I'd love to have him on. You could talk about his sheaths, and I know he's carving like a whole chess series. He's getting pretty far along with it. I think he's only doing the pawns so far. I think maybe I saw a rook or two, but all right. Where am I doing? Get the sides of his nose here. Just drawing some lines so I know where I'm going, what I'm doing. You know, the few times I did these, there we go. These live sessions, I had issues with the chat, and not everyone's comments were showing up. And I think it was because I had a setting set only to the top chats or something like that. So, all right, let's get moving here. I really should have picked a different block of wood for this. Fighting the grain. All right, let's see. We got pretty wide face over here. I should have mentioned it's really helpful if you knock down these corners pretty significantly when you do these. It's a wide block to hold, and the sharp edges get irritating after a while. You can also start to shape the top of his head a little bit. I'm gonna switch my knife for a minute. All right. Nose is looking a little weird to me. Maybe we'll work on that now. We got another Michael in the chat. Said, "This is my first time seeing this. What all of you do. Also, is it something you teach as well?" Um, I mean, occasionally I'll post like a tutorial video on some stuff. I did one of this guy recently, and I did one of a ghost, and I think, yeah, gnome. I have taught a few workshops in my neighborhood on how to carve just like a simple mushroom. Um, it was all right. I guess I lost you there for a second, but yeah, like I was saying, I have taught a few workshops in my area. It's fun and all. I don't know if it's something I'd want to keep doing over and over again. Um, I think mostly because it was a lot of non-carvers signed up for it, and I was just really worried about them hurting themselves. So I spent most of the class on how not to hurt yourself. People still cut themselves, but thankfully nothing too bad. Just a band-aid. I hope my phone holds up in this heat. All right, let's get his cheeks here set in. And that line is basically where I'm gonna have his hair and his beard kind of connect. Like that. Have all of you been watching the podcast? Let me know. What's been your favorite episode? Are you all caught up? Is there anyone on there you would like to see? So I've been carving on and off for quite a while. I didn't get serious about it until about 7 years ago. That's when it really kind of took over and consumed me, and I've been doing it nonstop ever since. But before that, I've always kind of did a little bit here and there. I have more of a woodworking background than a carving background. All right, we got to get his hairline set in here. You want to see Johnny Layton, Dave Stetson, and Dan Dutemeyer? Is that how you say it? I don't know who Dan Dutemeyer is. Maybe you can send me his profile link. I can check him out. Um, I I do talk to Johnny. Um, I would love to have him on, and I'm pretty sure he is interested in doing it. I know he has a lot going on. He's got a he's got a family and a job, and he's currently building out his studio. So I think a lot of his time is dedicated to doing that. But we'll definitely make it work some point. Um, he's a good dude. I like talking to Johnny. Really talented and really helpful. Actually, Johnny got me hooked on these everyday Hanks. He posts a lot of those pictures of some of his pipe um, accessories and everyday carry stuff. Um, so yeah, I got a few of those thanks to Johnny and Dave Stetson. Yeah, I do plan on. Well, I want to have Dave on as well. I haven't really asked him, I, so I do plan on it. Mark's been carving for 40 years. Wow, that's incredible. But most of your improvements have been in the last 10 years. Why is that? Um, is it just you had more time to dedicate to carving in the last 10? I may have seen Dan's pickle jar from my Arizona Charlotte show. He's kind of a ghost on socials. Oh, okay. My favorite people to look at for reference or just look at was me and Johnny. Oh, thanks, man. I appreciate that. When we both didn't have a huge follow, I still don't have a huge following, but I appreciate that. Um, it's awesome to see the improvement. Thank you. Yeah, I like Reddit. You don't see well, you do see a lot of carvers on Reddit, but you see a different batch of carvers on Reddit. You also see a different batch of carvers on Facebook and Instagram. So it is interesting to see the difference between each of the socials. I actually don't use Facebook all that much. Everything I post is mainly to Instagram. I've been checking my Facebook a little bit now, um, just because of the show, and I've been reaching out to people on it. But I'll pretty much ignore all the comments on there. Not intentionally. I just don't really check it. Um, so if you do comment on something or message me on Facebook, don't get upset if I don't respond back because I probably didn't see it. All right, just getting his nostril flares here. More free time and 5 months away from retirement. Congrats, man. How do you carve like 30 Halloween carvings, especially those bigger pumpkins? That's what I remember the most. All right, we'll catch you all later. Have a good night, man. I carved the pumpkins, a lot of them, because I like them. It was mainly inspired by Tony's carvings or Tony dot carvings. I think he's from Bulgaria, if I'm not mistaken. But his pumpkins are off the charts, man. He has some really cool looking pumpkins. Um, so yeah, he definitely inspired my pumpkins, and I just like carving them. All right, let's give this guy a mustache now. right, just gonna cut around his mustache here. Let's get that blocked in. It's a really tough piece of basswood. It's not making my job any easier here. Another suggestion for the pod, Alan Goodman. He is on my list of people to ask. Um, yeah, I would love to know more about his knives, his sharpening. I know he's one of those master sharpeners, and he's a talented carver as well. Um, so I definitely love to know more about his story. Pumpkins are a great way to teach carving to the round. They're also fun and quick. Yeah, I really do like the pumpkins. There's so much you could do with them too, with the hats and the eyes and little designs. They're very whimsical. Also, they're a good seller. People really like them. Halloween stuff seems to sell all year round. Um, so if you guys are on Etsy, that's your it's a good way to try to make some cash. Can't guarantee you'll sell it, but Alan can sharpen better than you and with power. I don't know. You must be getting pretty good at sharpening since you're working on all those knives. All right. I don't really know what I'm doing here. I'm just kind of winging it. All right. The blockiness of the bottom is starting to bug me. So let's knock all that down. Are you guys excited for Monday's episode? I am. I don't know if I should mention who it is or not. Maybe I'll keep you in suspense. Let's see. What's your best guess? Who do you think is on Monday's episode? write it in the chat and let me know. Alec Lacoste, Mr. God's Granola. That's a pretty good guess. All right, what am I doing next? I think his nose is still a little blocky. We gotta shape it a little more. You know, it's funny. I was actually thinking of carving a pumpkin for tonight, but I changed my mind last minute since we were just talking about pumpkins. One thing I'm realizing is I think I need better lighting in my shop here because I've been struggling to see things a little bit. I think that's why I like carving outside a lot. The natural light is really pretty helpful. All right, he's taking shape. I'm going to take my same gouge and I'm just going to separate his eyebrows here. Could do it with a knife, but again, I have the gouge and I'm feeling lazy, so. Just taking out a little bit from his forehead here to give his eyebrow ridge a little protrusion. Okay. His hair is kind of getting in the way now, so maybe I'm going to start to shape that a little bit. Now for the hair, you could do a lot of things. You can make it wavy or crazy, basic. Um, I kind of just pick random spots and I make these V cuts. Just like that. So maybe I'll do one there, do another one here. Another one over here. One right there. Let's give this guy some flowy sideways hair here. I find this part always pretty intense because it's pure end grain, so make sure you have a sharp knife. Make sure your knife doesn't slip and go into your hand. Should always wear gloves or some sort of safety gear. I'm going to just trace those lines I just made with my knife. All right. Do I belong to any carving clubs? I do not. There's not really any in my area that are close enough for me to get to on a regular basis. There are some that I could get to, but they're like an hour and a half drive away, and it's really just not worth it. Um, I wish there was. I would love to be around some like-minded people and just have a place to go to hang out with and bounce ideas, see how people carve in person, their thought patterns and process. I don't really think there's a lot of people in my area that actually carve. There might be, but maybe they're just kind of quiet and hidden. But I haven't really come across many. I have met a few people who were interested in it and did it a little bit, but um, not to any level like myself or the community online. I'm just taking off all these saw marks and just kind of rounding things over. Hope you guys can see what I'm doing. I tend to pull the carving closer to me. I'm not used to carving at a desk or a table. All right. Shape his mustache a little bit, round it over. How far away is Brooktondale from me? I have no idea where that even is. Um, I'm assuming that is probably somewhere upstate New York. Um, and the state of New York is actually pretty big. So it could either be 20 minutes away or it could be 5 or 6 hours away. It sounds like an upstate name. All right, I broke out a bigger gouge here just to kind of remove some material quicker from underneath his mustache. It's nice when you have a bunch of tools. Speed things up. Not necessary, but like I said, I'm battling the heat and I don't think I want to sit here for too much longer. So I'm using what I have to speed things up a little bit. So you can kind of see naturally where the eyebrow is forming here. I'm going to just draw it in. Remove some more of these saw marks. All right, let's cut a little notch here for his nostril. nostril flare. On the other side, just doing these little triangle cuts. Let's see, do we want to shape his nose a little bit? We can draw a little circle on the front. We kind of want to leave that circle untouched. We kind of want to swoop things and flare things away from that nose. So I'm just taking the blade and I'm rolling it, and you can see I'm creating that flare shape. Same thing up here, kind of just want to scoop it and roll it. There, looks a little bit more shaped. Usually I like to carve a little cleaner than I am now. I'm leaving a lot of like stab marks and fuzziness and chips. I usually don't carve like that. I usually take my time. It's just a little bit difficult to carve and talk and read comments and keep thinking up of things to talk about, because essentially you're just talking to yourself here unless someone comments and asks questions. So I kind of have his inside of his eyes established here. Let's give him some bigger round eyes here. A little bit more of a jollier look. There's a million ways you can do eyes. I found that if you take the tip of your knife at an angle one way, then the other way, create like a little V section, and then you just triangle cut, pop out that little chip, just like that. You create the inside of his eye. You do the same thing on the opposite side. Just one cut, two cut, pop the triangle out, and you have an eye. Well, almost there. Do the same thing on the other side. Opposite end. And then all you're going to do is now just connect that corner to the other corner in a round. You can almost pretty much see how the eye shape is. You're just going to trace it around. And then you're going to remove that sliver.